Keen to talk surge?
I can. It's
I
supposed to be the
figured,
release date for it tomorrow.
yeah, exactly. There's a lot going on this week. I don't know what it is about this week, but we've got Fusion from Foil Drive, something else coming from Manta, this,
We haven't started yet, have we?
and they're doing my bloody tarmac in the carport downstairs. So I'm waiting for them to come and bang on the door to tell me to come and move the vehicle. So let's
Have we
get on with it.
started
Let's
yet
talk
or we haven't
surge.
started?
Oh, I've started. Yeah, we've started. We'll use this section. So no swearing now, please, Adrian.
All right, I'll try.
Um, right. Tell us about the surge, Adrian, because it's coming out in 2 days' time. I wanted to get something on the YouTubes in time, and I wanted it to be from the horse's mouth. What is it? What does it do? Who's it for? Why didn't you bring
So,
it out years ago?
yeah, why didn't we bring it out years ago? Because it took a little while to get it sorted. It wasn't entirely obvious, and a lot of the stuff that we learned in all the other wings are actually crossing over into this. And we had to sort of, it's a journey. We had to do all of that to actually achieve this. You can't just out of the blue, you know, whip up this. So, I guess let's go back to the Fireball. The Fireball, uh, we had a new foil section, and it had really, really good lift and glide and really good pump. And we also worked on the taper in it. So the amount of cord you've got in the middle and how much cord you've got on the tips, and the taper of it really allowed it to roll side to side and turn quite nicely. We kind of carried on with that with the tempo and made it even more extreme in its taper. Um, and that helps let it turn as well. So we were kind of playing with that taper and seeing how much you can do and what effect it has. The other thing we did in that is that pretty much every other company has just done the gross moustache, the turn down, the turn up. But I kind of feel like everyone's just copied each other without actually having an understanding of why or what it does. So what we did is we got a 1000 Fireball, and we built it with downturn and turn up at the end, and we rode it and tested it back to back with the normal 1000 Fireball. Same outline, everything the same. Just the turn down, turn up, the moustache is the only thing that was different. By having that moustache in there, it was actually worse for getting up and going, and it was actually worse for top speed. But what it was quite nice for is it had a really nice roll, side to side. And my thinking for why that is that, or why is it slower? When your foil has a lift vector at 90 degrees to the foil. So, in the middle where it's the vector's like that, and then it's going outwards and it's pointing towards the tip. And then where the tip comes up, the vectors are pointing inwards. So you've got vectors fighting vectors, which causes drag or inefficiency. So a flat wing is going to be faster, but it's not going to have the same uh, turning or control. So kind of with that moustache, what it does is it acts like a narrower wing because the tips are a little bit useless. And um, because of that narrower span, it does turn more quickly, but there's still water flowing across those tips. And the water flowing across those tips, I think, actually gives it a lot of stability. It also helps when you're breaching, because it's quite unloaded in the tips, so the tips pop in and out quite nicely. We did quite a few wings with that moustache, and kind of worked a lot out about how you do that. Like, um, we did some that actually turned down uh, in quite an arc shape, uh, with a turn up at the tips, and the one that we've ended up with, the surge, is actually relatively flat through the middle, and then it turns down and then it turns up. Where the transition from turning down to turning up is, like if that's too far out, you lose effect and it doesn't breach so well. Too far in, then you lose your efficiency for pumping and all of that. So it's quite a bit of an act getting everything in the right place. The ones that had a very arced turn down through the whole entire wing, they still turned quite nicely, and some people actually kind of liked them. But what they did is they kind of arced and rolled quite nicely. But once they got locked over, they just locked in that turn, and that was it. The one that we did, the Surge, the production one, with the flatter section through the middle and then the turn down. It seems very, very efficient for pump. It seems really good for turn. And like in the old windsurf days, when you're doing a bottom turn, you lay into your bottom turn, you're looking at the lip and seeing what it's doing. You want to be able to just adjust your turn and go straight up and hit it. And by having the straighter section and the turn down more out in the tips, it gives it that not super locked in feel, and it feels very buttery smooth to turn.
Very good.
A
It
bit of
definitely
summer.
felt like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's a good one. Who's it for, Adrian?
Well, it was built to be a pure surf wing, and that's what it's sort of designed as. But like all of the wings that we do, and a lot of people hate saying that it's all round, it's actually working out really good for a bunch of other things. The bigger versions, like the 1010 in Saint-Tropez and in Crozon, the team riders, the guys actually learned to dock start. Like Gray Morris, Luke, Kai, they all went down to the dock and they're looking at the other kids down there doing dock start and going, oh, that's okay. So that's how you do it. And they just jumped in and basically learnt to dock start. But they swapped with everybody and everyone rode everything. And the 1010 was a fantastic wing for dock start pump. And the reason that it was really good is that it enters the other side thing is the turn down, turn up. It does enter the water really well. So one of the benefits is the whitewater hits. It survives that really well because part of it's in, part of it's out. But when it comes back in again, it comes in smoothly. I think having all that upsy downsy gives it a chance to engage a little bit rather than trying to do it all in one go. Yvon Labath was there and he was just dropping off the dock and jumping down onto the board. And he actually said it was the best best wing he'd had for engaging from a dock start. And 2 pumps, it was up to speed, and it was really nice for carving around the marks and the racing as well. So
Mark, were you learning to dock start in France as
he already
well?
knows how to do it. He's a guru at it. He doesn't need to practice.
My dog start career was very short. The first time I landed on the board and pumped away was the last time I dog started. So,
But
It was
getting
in-
into the 1010, you've been raving about that 1010 since Adrian put it into your hands. What have you been using the 1010 for?
I've been using it for pretty much everything except pure downwind. I'm loving it riding waves on the foil drive. I've been loving it winging in not in flat water. In flat water, the tempo is just amazing fun. But the surge, it's really a fun wing. You can winging, you can tack it super aggressively. You can jibe it really hard and fast. Small waves. It's great. It really addresses the things that I was looking for because I love the Fireball for the early start. I love how well it pumps. A lot of front foot feedback when you're pumping, and I like the glide. But I always wanted the Fireball calves. It makes very nice calves, but it's not snappy. And I think what we were all looking for was something that had those attributes that you could make more aggressive turns on. And that's what we ended up with. I mean, the surge is phenomenal. When you roll the foil, there's no end to it. However much you roll it, the foil's kind of sat there going, is that it? I can do more than that. Come on, do it more. And you end up every turn trying to roll it more to see where the end is. And certainly I'm far from finding the end. Maybe Luke's found it, but I haven't.
I'm curious.
He still seems to be exploring. One of my favourite moments from that last trip to Europe was being on the cliff top with you, Mark, watching Luke in the finals, but actually watching Luke through all of his heats. He was just amazing in his surfing with the wing. There's quite a few of the waves I saw him take off and basically take the drop, and as soon as he got to the bottom of the wave, he was straight into a bottom turn and went up and whacked it. I never saw anyone else actually get on the foil, engage, bottom turn, and come up and hit so quickly. Everyone else had to sort of wind up and get along the wave a bit and pump a few turns to get up and then smack the lip. He was so quick with that. His ability to pump, like he's over 100 kg and he went miles out to sea. One of the waves we were watching, he was just disappearing out. We thought he was going back to the UK. And
Yeah, one of the waves we were watching and said
Incredible.
if he falls in there, he won't be able to paddle back to the beach before his heat's over. He was so far out.
Yeah, he's over 100 kg, 6 foot something or other, and he was on the 890 with the ultra short fuse and the 345 rear, and that's his go-to combo. He uses that for pretty much everything.
I've been interested. We chatted to him the other week on the podcast, and he was saying to get the same feeling of that 890 that he's riding now on the wave, he was riding the 780 Spitfire, which to me that's a tiny wing for me to be winging, let alone trying to prone foil and pump out. So his pumping out ability, he was saying, has gone through the roof because he's now not limited. He gets the turning of a smaller Spitfire, but the pumping of a much larger foil, which I think is
impressed
really
me.
Nice.
What really impressed me is Luke's obviously a phenomenal athlete, and he can do things normal people can't. But you can see watching him ride what the foil's allowing him to do. And what Adrian was saying, when he took off in the foamy takeoff, there was no wobble. There was nothing. He stood up and he entered his turn, and you saw as well when he was attacking the lip like he was on a shortboard. And he was dropping back in, balanced over the top of the foil. There was none of the wibble wobble on the way down, the shake coming through the whitewater. You could see clearly from the beach that the foil was just eating it up and just traveling through it with no drama.
I've seen quite a few videos that have sort of struck me. One of them was a recent one of Olivia just riding a wave, coming in, just surfing on it. And she's a great athlete as well. She's a great surfer, but her level has just stepped up a bit from the surfing on it. It really seems to help a lot and give a lot of confidence in the surfing side of things.
I would like to chime in there that as a regular intermediate upwards ability level winger and para winger now, that was the exact thing I noticed going out in Hood River when you let me have a go on those prototypes. My level of riding went through the roof, was visible to the guys that I was riding with, that it suddenly made you be able to do things that I couldn't do on the other wings, because it would let you get away with far more than the likes of the Art V2 would do, but it would also turn far tighter in a pocket and accelerate away on a pump much easier as well. So I think this is going to be a really interesting wing for existing AXIS guys.
So desperate to get it out there, and it's taken far longer than we wanted. But I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what people think of it. I think it's an incredible foil. You were asking what it's for. It was a pure surf wing. That's what it was designed for. It happened to be really good for the dock start pump stuff. It's really good for para wing. It's actually good for in the bigger sizes. It's great for people that are learning to downwind because it's easy to control and easy to ride, and still got the pump and the glide to keep you going. So it is kind of your classic all-rounder. Great foil for wing foil as well. You can actually get away with quite small sizes with the wing because it's so efficient with the same foil section from the fireball and the tempo. It's got really good lift.
I think it's got
that 890 that you've lent me. I think that is actually going to be my lighter wind option.
Len, are you going to get it back again?
You're not getting it back.
So
I would definitely stick to a smaller wing for me. So for me, riding in lighter winds, that 890, that's 830 square centimeters. I think you said it is. That is my lighter wind option now. That lifts so early. I was out in some really patchy winds the other day. I really look forward to trying the smaller ones. I know I tried Parawing in the 830 in Hood River, and that was excellent, but needed a bit more of a push. I'm very intrigued on the wing stuff to see the smaller
the lift thing is the lift thing is really interesting because for me on the foil drive, it's always been a limit on the amount of power I have on the foil drive to what I can get on foil with. And I was kind of stuck between the 1099 and the 999 ART V2s, the 999 being a drama sometimes to get on foil, and the 1099 being a bigger foil than I really wanted to ride. And the 1010 and the 950 resolve that instantly. They get going so early that it's put me on the foils that I want to ride, not on the foil drive, not the foils that I have to ride.
Size-wise, I would say I like winging. I normally use the 1000 Fireball because I like the glide on it, or the 999 Art V2, and I ride the 950, and that seems to be about the equivalent for getting up and range and everything. But I think it's got a lot different pump, and I've had a couple of wing sessions, just dropping the wing and surfing, and you carry a long way and pump onto the next wave and surf, and it is a really nice, easy, fun wing to ride.
I do quite like that. For everything we've all just said there, our existing wings are generally a spannier wing. Your 999, your 1099, your 1000, and now we're looking at the 890 span. So say a 90 centimeter span and a 95 centimeter span compared to a 1000 centimeter span and a 1100 centimeter span, 110. That's, I think, coupled with the fact that the whole profile rolls better anyway. You're then shortening the span, which is going to enable people to turn even tighter, which is really quite nice.
Aspect. It's 9.5 aspect ratio, which I don't know, we kind of consider that to be low aspect nowadays.
The world has changed in the last year,
rewind 5 years ago, whenever you brought the Art V1 out, and that hear yourself saying
there's one before
is low aspect.
There was 1,000. No, was it 900?
900 and 1,000.
900 HA back in the day. That was an obscene 10 aspect ratio. Just
was that actually
one thing.
Sorry, that was 10 aspect ratio.
Oh, right. I thought that was a bit less.
Well, 9.9.
I think for me, if I was gonna, from a user's point of view, I think the thing I would say to anyone is, this is the magic product that you pay your money and you get better. You can buy your way better with this foil, which there's no, from the first wave I took on it, I felt comfortable. Whatever stab I had and whatever fuselage I had, I felt comfortable from the first second. And I instantly felt, okay, I can make tighter turns, I can make more aggressive turns, I can get more into the pocket, and that's what we all want now. It's like we could all train more, but we're not 18 anymore, so I would rather have a product that I can buy my way better than spend 6 months learning to ride.
It does what you're saying. It surfs tight in the pocket. You can see that from Luke surfing, but it doesn't. You don't lose the pump. I mean, the pump is incredible, but you
can't believe how much. So the turning was one thing, and you notice that straight away. And I was practicing literally just as soon as I got on foil, just seeing how turny it was. But I've raved about it a couple of times to a couple of people that have asked me about it. One of the other big things that I took from that wing is it pumps like the Fireball. You can feel the Fireball in that wing. You've not been able to feel the drive forwards in the likes of the Art V2 or the Spitfire previously. You can feel the Fireball in it.
Absolutely, that full section. Every pump you do actually pays forward, and it drives you forward and keeps you going. The recovery, like if you slow right down and on the verge of stalling, a couple of pumps and you're back up and going again. It recovers well.
Let me ask you about the bigger sizes, Adrian, because you were fairly adamant in America that 1010 was kind of going to be the biggest wing in the range, but I think both Mark and I have been fairly surprised that there's now going to be a 1080 and an 1150 above that as well.
No, we're not talking about this. They're not released yet.
Tough shit. We're talking about it.
It is likely that we'll investigate further some larger ones.
Please, Adrian, would you make some bigger ones?
Maybe.
If you were to build bigger versions of this wing, and this is going to be the argument for a lot of people that are hopefully going to be watching, and we'll talk about it in the mid-range anyway. Your normal mid-range wings, they're going to soak up people that are going to be looking at a Spitfire and an Art V2. I'd like to know who's going to go for each one of those. Why would you buy the Surge? Why would you not buy the Surge? If you're riding in different locations. And likewise, those bigger wings, you've got more bigger wings than you can shake a stick at. I've already written blog posts on a couple of websites for ourselves to direct people in the right way for bigger wings, with your pump and glides, with your Art V2s, with big fireballs. Where would the Surge's bigger wings be pushed towards? That's a very, very big prone foil wing, so it must be directed slightly towards something else. What would someone wanting a bigger one want from it?
To retain that carving surfing feel, that smooth rail to rail feel.
But what sport, what discipline might they want it for?
Bigger guys learning to downwind, bigger guys learning to parawing, subfoil. There'll be lots of uses for it, I guarantee it.
But it's something that still maintains a bit more turn. Mark, as someone that likes that 1010 so much, where do you see the bigger if it was to be a bigger surge, where
If
would you
we
see its
decide to
uses?
buy a bigger one, yeah.
Small waves, definitely small waves where you can get away with a smaller foil, but you kind of fighting to keep speed up on it. Small waves have low speed, and every foil has its operating range. So I can see, as Adrian said, subfoil in small waves. It would be awesome. Right now, I often ride the 1350 Fireball for small wave sup, just because it gets up so early and it takes speed and it's so easy to pump out again. The turning is compromised, but let's face it, how much turning are you going to do on a knee-high wave? So
Yeah.
it's not so relevant.
It turns pretty good for its span, but it'd be nice to be able to.
I mean, really enjoy it, but it's not a
Yeah.
surf foil.
Yeah.
And I also bigger guys coming into wanting to learn to surf on the foil drive is going to be an amazing foil where they up easy and they can learn the first steps of proning on a foil drive. So I can see a lot
of the stuff we've
attributes.
learned and how easy and how general purpose this wing is. We're taking that into redesigning like a sort of more of a beginner intermediate wing as well. So working on that and there's quite a bit of progress in that as well. So all of the good things.
Don't
say too much, Adrian, if you're talking new products again.
Well, we're always working on new things. It's kind of just how it is. But what we do is, though, we don't actually bother releasing it until it's right. And you were saying, why didn't we release this sooner? It was because we're still learning. And, some of the ones we did in between working towards the final one, they were pretty good, but we just felt like it could be a bit better. So it took a while to get to that point where we're just totally, totally happy with it.
Very good. Anything else we need to know about the Surge? What do you reckon, Mark?
Well, I think we pretty much covered it there. It's pumps easy, starts easy, glides well, rolls like no foil I ever rode.
Sounds like a bunch of lies, doesn't it?
This is the issue, because every foil's like this when it comes out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I think this one will speak for itself, so I'm not worried about that. But it's a goodie.
Whilst we're on the subject of surf foils, surf skinnies to begin with, give us a quick rundown of why you want to use each size. Nicely, thankfully, you've only got 320, 300, 280. Like you mentioned, Luke is only using the 300. I'm probably only ever going to use the 300.
Yep. Larry uses the 280. Bigger guys use the 320. Basically, what they are is they're skinnies, or around like the 360 45 skinny that we've got. It's like a narrower version of that, and by making it narrower, it does two things. It allows it to roll. So if you've got a surfy wing, it allows it to roll more to side better. Plus, it's actually got the same turn down, but the span's reduced, so it's kind of got more turn down in it, and it seems to, when you're turning hard, it actually has like a stops the skidding out in the back. It actually gives you more control with the rear. So it loosens and adds control to a surf wing that's pretty good. It's kind of like...
Have you used it with the skinnies or the progressives?
I haven't used it with the progressive. I kind of stopped with the progressives to use the skinnies for more or less everything. And then I've been using now the surf skinny. I've definitely focused on the 300, or at least zoned in on the 300 as the size that suits me best. And I think with the surf skinny, everyone will find one. You're not going to chop it up all the time. It definitely loosens up the foil, that's for sure, and it unlocks another degree of roll in the foil. But if you're gliding on a wave, it's hard to feel the difference from a regular skinny. It doesn't feel draggy at all. But when you roll the foil over, you notice it a lot, just how much looser the foil is.
It's a little bit of a step down in control, like compared to the skinny 45 to the 300, the surf skinny 45. It's definitely a little less pitch control, but it makes up for that in the looseness of the turning and the reliability in turning. But all areas, I've always said, are a bit of a journey, and you just sort of work your way through until you find the happy spot for you.
For small energy downwind, I still prefer the skinny. I normally end up on the skinny 40. If it's a downwind and there's some bumps and there's going to be some turning, then I'll go directly to the surf skinny. Whereas I wouldn't have gone to the progressive because I would find I was compromising too much glide with the progressive. Whereas the surf skinny, I don't compromise the glide so much, and I definitely gain some turn.
Very good. Cool. Well, our 15-minute chat has completely been blown out of the water, as we knew it would do.
Expected.
But thank you very much.
At least it's not 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. I have to stick to the podcast for those.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Adrian. We look forward to what's coming next. I look forward to spending a lot more time on these surges anyway. Now they've finally arrived in stock.
Can't wait for people to get out on them and form their own opinions of it. I think it'll.
This to me is the one. This is what, the Fireball was great, the RV2 was great, but this to me is the foil that I will be loving, as you well know, because I prized one out of your hands finally.
Yeah.
This is the one. So,
yeah.
I look forward to seeing people's reactions to it. Thank you very much for taking the time, guys.
Cheers.
All right.
Thanks. See ya.